So I was writing something. I find myself writing a lot of times, and I just free write, you know. I was an English teacher, and I taught English for 4 years in high school. I taught ASL, and I taught 12th grade honors. So I don't teach anymore, but I still work in higher ed. And I find myself just writing still. Like, it's a very creative way of doing things for me. Like I said, I used to think of myself as like an artist and being in that creative world, in that creative space. I'm not very good, but I love it. Like, I just love it. Anyway, point saying, I write a lot of stuff, and I just wanted to share something I wrote with you all. When we all know the story of Adam and Eve, right? However, there is one sentence that often gets overlooked in this popular story. When God asked Eve, why did she eat from the tree of knowledge? She replied, I was, quote, led astray. Now, that got me to thinking, how does one get led astray? Because we've all been led astray in our life at some point in time. And if you haven't, just keep on living. So, how does that happen? Well, I kept, reading and stuff like that. And I came to the conclusion that in order for you to engage in an activity you once said you would never do, there has to be a reshaping of your thought process. Something or someone has to come along and convince you that the moral compass you were using for your life is wrong. This is why we have to guard what we allow in our lives. The reason why church people would say, don't listen to certain songs, don't hang out with these people, don't watch sexual stuff, wasn't because they were trying to stop us from having fun. What they understood was that the things you allow in your life reshapes your thinking. What you allow in your spirit, mind, alters your moral compass. And once you are reshaped like Eve, it will be easy for you to be led astray. So, maybe it's not about the reason why we should be careful about the type of music we listen to and the type of stuff we hear and we allow into our mind is because our mind is the most powerful weapon we have. It's why the Bible says it's with the mind we serve God. Our mind is the most powerful weapon. And if we allow something in our mind to start reshaping our mind, then it reshapes our values, it reshapes our thought process, and now we're out here doing things we never thought we would ever be doing. So when you hear religious people, I don't like the term religious, because religious is like a whole other thing. I think you can love God and not be religious. That's a whole other thing. But when you do hear church people and different religious people say, don't do this or don't do that or don't listen to this, it's not necessarily about the rules. What it's about is trying to protect your mind, your mindset. Because once your mindset things starts getting inside of your mind, then you'll start doing things and you won't even realize what you're doing. Right would be wrong, the cat would be chasing the dog, the left is right is left, and you'll be walking around going, this is just how I feel. This is just how it is. I feel this way, but you never really think about why you feel this way. You feel this way because you've been listening to music that you shouldn't have been listening to since you were a child. You feel this way because you've been exposed to sexual stuff at an age where you shouldn't have been exposed to sexual stuff. You feel this way because you are been part of things that you should not have ever been a part of. Some of the reason why we find ourselves in the trouble that we find ourselves in is because we're in situations we had no business being in the first place. You're laying next to someone you had no business laying next to. And now you got 8 months of heartbreak you got to deal with. So I'm not saying that you should live your life in a box and never have fun or anything like that. I'm not saying that, and I'm nobody's preacher. I'm no one's guru. I'm just, I do think that you have to be cognizant of the fact that when you are allowing things in your mind is the remote control of your life. Your mind is the remote control of your life. And if you start allowing things in your mind, in your remote control, then it starts to dictate your life. It starts to tell you what's good, what's bad. It reshapes you. So I don't want to make this like a preaching thing again. Again, I apologize if it comes across that way, but I really do think that we are certain people, and I'm not above it, certain people find themselves in situations because they have allowed certain things into their mind, and your mind is the remote control for your life. And since you're listening to certain kind of music, watching certain type of videos, thinking you're watching all these videos and it's no big deal, but what you're doing is you're giving something access to your mind, your remote control. And now you're out here doing things and saying things and acting a certain way, and you don't even really understand why you're doing it. That's what I think. But there's also psychology behind it. There's a whole other story too. But all right, this is my thought process. All right, talk to you later.